Jesus, my daughter dying. You can't finish a complete sentence. When he fell at his feet, that humbled him. The Bible says he fell at his feet. What does that mean? He worshipped him. Oh my God. I know many of you are talking about dancing. Many of us don't understand the power of worship. God is obsessed with worship. Because when you worship God, you are lifting him up and you are bringing yourself down. God sees worship as an act of humility. You see, what we see in the church today is amazing. You see people who are in the church, they are Christians, but their heart is like stone. Do you know why? They have no worship life. See, let me tell you something. When you start worshiping God and spending time in worship, let me tell you something. You can't stay with unforgiveness in your heart. Oh my God. I wish I'm preaching to somebody here. If you spend that, see, when I go to worship God, when I begin to worship God, in the space of 5 minutes, tears begin to roll down in my eyes. Do you know why? Because the presence of God will break you. The reason why you are still strong and stone-hearted, you have no worship life. If you have a worship life, you will forgive. If you have a worship life, your heart will be soft. If you have a worship, I don't know what I'm preaching to. If you have a worship life, you will humble yourself. Many people don't worship God, so they're always proud. Don't talk to me like that. I will not forgive. Forgive for what? They should come and ask me for forgiveness. They are not humble because you have no worship life. When you come before God in worship, there are a lot of things God removes when you worship Him. Takes the pain, takes the anger, takes the frustration out of it. When you begin to worship God, brothers and sisters, if I be lifted up, I will draw all men unto my side. Worship is what brings you before God. And you can't come before God and live the same. See, let me tell you, I was talking to my son then the other day. I said, you become who you spend time with. You become who you spend time with. You can't spend time with a soft God, a loving God, and you have hatred in your heart. It's not possible. I dare you to worship. I dare you to start spending time to worship. Because when you start calling God and say you are the mighty God, the great I am, hallelujah. I'm not talking about the one we do in church. I'm talking about the one you do with yourself. I'm talking about your own personal time with God. No matter what you do here, if you have no personal time, you are wasting your time. And when I start to worship Him, I feel His presence in my eyes. I feel His presence in my face. I feel His presence in my hands, in my stomach, in my legs. Before you know it, the presence of God encompasses my whole being. I don't have a choice but to start to cry and say, Lord, I just worship you. I just love you. I just thank you for your presence in my life. In that, God begins to break you. In that, God begins to heal you. In that, God begins to put forgiveness in your heart. In that, God begins to take away hatred from your heart. Why? Because when you worship a soft God, He makes you soft. So, when Jairus came, he fell at His feet and started to worship Him.